Yo, ladies and gents, what is good? What's going on with y'all, man? We got 20 people here waiting. I appreciate the early birds. Y'all, the early birds always here early, man. I appreciate y'all so much. But what is good? What is going on, PlayStation Nation? It is your boy Persona of Gaming with Persona, host of When Persona Speaks, host of When Persona Interviews, and host of What's Up PlayStation Podcast every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. And how y'all feeling today, man? It's Tuesday. Beautiful day outside. Nice day. Not too hot, not too cold. It's just right. You feel me? But big round of applause, everybody in the chat, real quick. Round of applause, all of you in the chat. I ain't gonna shout everybody out one on one because I'll be here all night. But listen, guys, this is a special interview, right? This is a very special interview because I already had this person in mind for a minute, right? Then my man went and got Hollywood on us. Went and got Hollywood, on Podcast Unlocked. My man is making big moves out here. He's doing his Q&A streams nightly. My man is probably one of the most positive dudes you can meet out here. Lover of JRPGs. 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot, whatever. Really cool dude, man. I've got the one, the only NeoGameSpark in the building. Neo, please introduce yourself out to the people and let them know just a little, let them know a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, bro, definitely. Damn, I gotta say, in terms of being a hype man for the intros, shoot, look no further than Persona Speaks, bro. Damn. This man said 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot. I gotta decide what it was.
The first time I met Neo was at PSX 2017, I think.
Yeah, and also the last PlayStation experience.
Tier. And I'm about 5'11", 6 feet. And man, this guy he's really tall. So, shout out to him, man. But introduce yourself to the people, man, and just tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, of course, y'all. Hey, y'all, what's up? Persona Nation. My name is Neo, aka Chris, aka Mr. Hollywood, according to this man Persona. I guess you could say I'm one of the old heads in the community because I've been around these parts making videos for like 12 years or so. Basically, I guess you want to ask like how I got into this. Is that like the gist of it?
Yeah. I mean, just kind of give them a quick rundown. I guess we could jump straight into it because I guess one of the first questions I have for you, and this is a special question that I had to come up for you, NeoGameSpark. That is a very unique name. I have to know, how did you come up with that name, and where does that derive from?
Oh, so that name basically came, let's see, so I was bored at home, which is how a lot of things in my life seem to, they end up starting.
Okay.
And basically how it came to be was, so I had 2 previous YouTube channels before I settled on with this one. And with those YouTube channels, I would just upload videos of various anime-related games, a lot of Naruto stuff, Dragon Ball Z, things like that. And the thing about YouTube way back when, I'm sure you will remember this, it used to be like, copyright craze. Like you couldn't upload anything without getting flagged. And back then when you're young and you got a YouTube channel, your channel was legit your life. That was like it was your persona, so to speak. Back then it was kind of the norm to have multiple channels going on at the same time as backups. Mm-hmm. So I had those channels, and when I made that second channel, I just attached a 2 to it, but I didn't want to do that for like another channel. So what I did was I was thinking of, all right, I need a name that'll stick. What is something that's like in the realm of gaming, something I would enjoy? Mm-hmm. Well, I grew up watching G4. I grew up watching all of those game shows. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to do like some type of a game show, something like that. But what would I call it? Well, GameSpark. I was like, oh, Spark, that sounds pretty cool. That name was taken. So I'm thinking, all right, I need to add something to the front or the end. And I think it was either I was watching The Matrix or I think the YouTube, because you remember how back then YouTube would autofill like a name for you if you couldn't come up with something. Yeah, and it was like, here's some name suggestions. And I was just like, all right, cool. I didn't think nothing of it because this was just like a third channel that would have waiting in the wings if something did happen to my main one. Something happened to my main one. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to transition to this one. And yeah, that's the basic gist of the name. I know a lot of the people are surprised. They're just saying, "Oh, so it's just a random name,
It
an
just came out of
amalgamation of
nowhere.
exactly an amalgamation of different things." And I said, "Yeah, that's what it is." So
You know, that's how greatness. Don't lie. That's how greatness is started anyway, right? It just happens, right? It's never planned. It's just, oh wow, this works, and then that's
yeah,
how it is. So
that's
it's a
right.
great name. I love the name. The name is
Yeah,
great.
sick.
Um,
What was it? Sick Parvis Magna, greatness from small
support.
beginnings.
Yes, yes. So yeah, one thing I with my guests that I like, I love to know the history of like how you got into content creation, what was your inspiration and things like that. Kind of give us a rundown of, how this even came about. How did you find yourself here on YouTube?
So, like I mentioned earlier, I've been on YouTube for a long time.
Mm,
I've been on the site basically since it came out. The idea of YouTube was always, so fascinating for me. I think I started watching YouTube videos when I was 12 years old, and I made my first channel when I was 13. But I didn't do anything on that channel until I was 14. And at that point, I was just literally uploading random stuff, like just random things, talking
mm.
about stuff like, hey, I got a new PSP, and I was just going through the PSP in the menu and saying,
Oh
hey,
wow.
these are all the new demos I downloaded, like videos that are unfortunately not on the site anymore.
Mm-mm,
But that was the gist of it for like the first year, just uploading those type of things and random
mm,
game trailers. It
mm,
wasn't until 2008 when I started doing like on camera stuff. I remember the first video that I ever recorded of myself and edited was a tutorial, ironically, of trying to show people how to mod their Nintendo Wii to play import games.
okay.
Because someone had sent me a link of how to do it, because I was big into importing Japanese anime games for the
Mm,
Wii and the GameCube, and
mm,
Nintendo always they hit with that firmware patch.
mm, mm,
So I saw that. I was like, oh, I need to spread this to other people so they can see it. And inadvertently that started my sort of spiral into this content creation life, because from that video a lot of people were watching like, oh, this guy likes Naruto, and I was looking at his Wii and he had all these games, and we just started talking. So it literally became a case of, oh, this is awesome, there's a lot of people on the internet who like the stuff that I do. Because growing up in my area, like I had people who were sort of into the things that I like, like
mm, mm,
gaming, stuff like that. But you know how there are some folks you can talk about this stuff with, but
mm,
you just
mm.
don't have that connection, like it just
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
hit.
yeah.
So for the majority of my life, it's like, yeah, I had those people as friends, but we could never like 100% gel. And it wasn't until YouTube where I found those type of people I could connect with. So I
Mm,
just kept doing YouTube videos, talking about random things, talking about my other interests, and just the following kept growing and growing. And it wasn't until I guess I broke 10,000 subscribers where I started to think to myself, oh wow, so this is actually a thing, because there was really no one around at the time doing like the sort of stuff that I was doing. And it was still awesome to see that there are people who are they're using this site, and they're making this like the platform where they want to talk about these things.
mm, mm,
So that's kind of the gist of how I got into it, basically because I like to talk about these things and I wanted to hear if other people liked it as well.
mm.
And that's literally been what's kept me going for the past 12 years of making YouTube videos. I've
12
never
years.
taken,
Wow.
yeah, 12 years, bro. I've never taken an extended break from YouTube. I mean, there have been periods where, I don't upload videos for maybe 2 to 3 weeks, something like that. But I'm
Mm,
always around. I'm always lurking. I'll probably be doing a live stream, or, you can catch me on Twitter.
mm, mm.
But that's like the connections and the bonds that I formed with people on this site, on the internet, for the past decade are honestly what keeps me going, because just like the stuff that we're doing right now, geeking out about games, having so much fun,
Mm.
that's basically what I live for, because I love that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Nah, yeah, it's definitely true, man. For me, like in school, I've had, how you have like certain friends for certain things, right? I have
Yeah.
my nerdy friends where we play Pokemon and do all that other stuff, sports friends and all those different things, anime friends and things like that. So I definitely get it. That's pretty dope, man. Like for like your love for wanting to give people the know-how when it came to special things in gaming being your inspiration. That's really dope. And it feels like, it seems like you had that drive from such a young age. I mean, 14 years old, it's like, especially back then, and like, I don't want to say the pre-internet, but like where things were still fresh and you were kind of thinking forward, and it's like, oh, I want to do this, this, and this, and it manifested into what it is now. That's really dope, man.
I could assure you I had no idea what I was doing at the time, and I still have no idea what I'm doing right now. But I appreciate you thinking so highly of me long term.
So I guess, because right now you're sitting at about 60,000 subscribers on YouTube. Is there like, once you started seeing the numbers with your subs climb, did it ever in your mind click where you were just like, maybe I should make NeoGameSpark into a brand, merch, an official podcast, really, really make things much, much more official. Has that ever crossed your mind? And if so, like, what has stopped you from wanting to do that?
Kind of did early on in the beginning. When I first broke like 10,000 subscribers and then I climbed to 20,000, there was definitely the notion that, hey, maybe I should be more serious with this and do more and dedicate all this extra time. And I honestly, I don't know what stopped me at the time. Maybe it was because I always kept this sort of thing as a hobby I really enjoyed. And I just never really dived much into it. So I always left it like kind of in the background where, I just basically used it kind of like in a weird way. It's kind of like my diary in a sense where I would just go there and I would like talk about whatever I'm talking about. Like, hey, I just beat this game. I'm gonna get on here. I'm gonna talk about it, give you my thoughts. And in some weird situations, like 5 years from now, I would go back and I would watch some of those videos and see if I still felt the exact same way when I do that. So the idea of making this a brand and merchandising it and all that stuff, I mean, it crosses my path. It really does. But on some level, something about me, like, I can't take that level, that like leap to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still put in the work. I still put in the effort. But that's because I want to have fun with this stuff.
So you feel like if it turns into like a job, you won't enjoy it as much anymore?
Kind of, to an extent, but I wouldn't even say, because like when you're doing this, even if you're doing it like part-time as a hobby, it's still, as you know, it's a lot of work, man.
Yes,
Because a lot of people, they look at YouTube and content creation and all that, and they think, oh, so you get on here, you record a video. No, it's literally you thinking over, mulling things, thinking about the structure of what goes into the video, and not even counting if, let's say, you do on camera stuff, getting your lighting right, and then working with editing and rendering, and then dealing with the YouTube algorithm is another beast entirely. So, it's like whether you go full time with this or whether you go part time with it, it's still going to take up a lot of your time. But for me, it was just a case of I always fit YouTube and all this stuff into my life. It was never like the other way around, if that makes sense.
No, I get it. I definitely get that. And I agree 100%. I think, one thing about YouTube that I don't want to say I misunderstood in the beginning, but it kind of took me by surprise was, it's very easy to get discouraged, especially if you're not seeing those numbers, not seeing those subs, not seeing the growth that you think you should be getting, or if you put a lot of time into content and, I didn't get as many views or likes that I thought I would have because I put so much time into this. Like, when you're putting a lot of time into something, you want to see a million likes, a million views and things like that. And it ends up being 15 likes and, 30 views. And it's like, well, damn. Like,
well, that's actually a really good ratio. If you got 30 views and 15 likes, that's pretty freaking good. Nowadays,
that is good.
You can't get people to hit the like button for nothing.
By the way, hit the like button.
Yo, facts. Everybody watching right now, hit that like button. We're at 26 right now. Let's get this up. Come on, y'all. Support the community.
No, but yeah, that's definitely true. I definitely get that. Right. So it's funny because you're very chill about it, but then something big happens, right? You get on podcast. Like, this is what I'm saying, man. Things like greatness just happens, right? So it's not a job. You just chilling, you doing your thing, enjoying it, and then something great happens. You get on Podcast Unlocked. Now, we got to dig into this, right?
I.
How did this even happen? Like, just walk us through how this happened.
Oh, okay. Well, according to some people on the internet, so how it started was Microsoft cut me a check, and
I see the tweets, so I know what you're talking.
Yeah, I'm a secret sleeper agent from Bellevue, Washington. But
Next
no,
thing is your cyberpunk chair. We waiting
yo,
on that.
straight up. Wait, can I get a yellow chair like all the other cool
Right,
YouTubers?
right. But yo, let us know what's up, man. How did this happen? Like this is crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, as surprised as you are, that's the same thing for me, man. So a few months ago, as you know, we were all in quarantine, we were in lockdown. I started thinking about getting back into doing YouTube more consistently because, you know, with a lot of the things happening in the world, I kind of had to like kind of revise my 5-year plan of things that I wanted to do. Like I was on a good track, a good trajectory. You know, I was making moves, you know, I was doing things the right way. And then the world gets locked down and it kind of throws all those plans by the wayside, you know. And it you know, it was just messing
You're
with me.
talking real life stuff,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
real life stuff. So
Okay.
it was kind of messing with me mentally for a while. And you know, when you're in lockdown for such a long amount of time, you know, sometimes your usual crutches and things that you fall back on, your entertainment can sometimes, in a weird way, drain you. Like there were times where I was playing games and I was watching stuff on Netflix, reading things like that, and I just got bored of it, which is so weird because, you know, when you're working and you're grinding all the time, the dream's like, yo, I really wish I could have all this time to do these things. But then when you get all the time to do that stuff, you're just kind of like, it just don't hit, you know, it don't hit the same way. So, you know, I was looking for more forms of entertainment, you know, and I saw that the Xbox One X was on sale for $299. You know, I should not have
One
been
X
looking
or
at
one
that.
S?
One X.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, I should not be looking at this, but let me see what it's hitting for. So $299, and then I saw that Microsoft had this program called Xbox All Access, which is the best way I could describe it without getting into too much specifics. Is basically like you go to your phone carrier, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, whatever, and you know how you can get a phone for $0 down. All you do is pay, you know, like let's say $30 a month. You're paying for the service and you're paying for the phone. So that's basically what Microsoft is doing for Xbox. Same basic concept, no strings attached, provided, you know, you're able to make those payments. And I was like, yeah, I'll see what this is hitting for. So I went ahead and I did that. And mind you, this is the first time I gamed with an Xbox product since the 360. I know a lot of people are saying that's not that long ago, but when you go a whole generation, like 2020,
We're talking 7 years here.
yeah, we're talking like the last Xbox 360 game I played was Halo 4, and
wow.
I think it was like 2012 when that came out. So we're talking like close to 8 years. That's a long time. So I got the Xbox, and you know, I was messing around with it. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, and so I uploaded a video just giving my thoughts on it. Like, hey, you know, it's my first time having an Xbox in almost 10 years, and here are my thoughts. And I remember I uploaded that video, right? I went to bed, woke up the next morning, and then I get a text from my brother, and he was just like, yo, look at this conversation. And it was a screen grab from, you know, a group chat with him and his friends. And they were just like, yo, is this your brother? He looks just like you. And my brother was like, yeah, that's him. I was like, how did they find that video? Because at first I'm thinking maybe my brother sent it, but it was like, nah. What had happened was that video started to blow up. I think within less than a day, it was already at 10,000 views. And I was like, okay. I left it alone. And then I start getting tweets from people like crazy. And then I go on Twitter and I see that Major Nelson had tweeted the video out.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
And I was like, what is going on? And then I look on YouTube, it's already at over 200,000 views in just like 3 days or something. I was like, bro, what the hell is happening? And it was literally from that video, I guess, because the YouTube algorithm with next gen console news and Xbox, it basically blessed me, and a lot of people saw that. And I guess what they really appreciated was just the honesty of somebody, you know, who has played on PlayStation for a whole generation and Nintendo and trying out Xbox. And then I just started doing more videos talking about it, and people really enjoyed it. And that's kind of where we are today. How we spiraled into getting onto Podcast Unlocked is basically because of those people in the community who really enjoyed the content. Ryan McCaffrey, who runs Podcast Unlocked for IGN, he's been, you know, doing a really good job as of late with the stay-at-home podcast and getting more content creators on the show, especially, you know, diversity with content creators. You know, like a lot of people, they don't practice what they preach, but Ryan is an ally and he practices what he preaches. And a lot of people were saying, yo, you should get this person on the show. And I was just like, yeah, Ryan, why not? And then Ryan DM'd me and he was like, yo, let's set this up. I said, all right.
That is fire, bro. It's funny too, because when I seen it, you fit in, right? And you speak very professionally and very very clear. You really fit in with that panel. It looked official. I was like, yo, this is. I was really happy for you because like, yo, this is good. This is dope. You know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So were you nervous? Like were you? Because
Oh,
like I said, you didn't look nervous. It's like when I
Bro.
watched the podcast, you didn't look nervous. I'm like, he's like super chill. He's hiding it very well. Like, were you nervous? Like, what was going through your mind through that whole process?
The scariest bits were honestly before the recording and during the first like 5 minutes. Like as soon as I got my intro out of the way, I was like, all right, I'm good. I'll just approach this like any other scenario, because it's kind of like when I go on anyone else's podcast or I go on anyone else's live show. You know, the first time I went on, you know, shout out to the Weapon Wheel podcast, shout out to BG. When I went on there, I was low key kind of nervous because, you know, when you're with a bunch of people, you're on someone else's show, you just don't know what's going to happen. But you got to approach every single situation as you would, like if this was like, you know, your show. You know, you can't just, you know, put on a facade and try to do something that you're not. Exactly, because people, they are going to find that. So I just approached that like somebody was asking me a question in, let's just say, an interview, and I gave my response. So I was kind of a little nervous at first, but you know, I pulled it together, and I'm glad that a lot of people didn't notice that and they think it's cool. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, you are allowed to be nervous when you do these things. Don't worry.
Of course, 100%, man. Like I said, congrats on that. Is there any there's plans for you to come back, or like are they talking about bringing you back at some point?
Well, yeah. So during the show, and you know, Ryan and I, we coordinate behind the scenes on stuff. He's like, I would love to have you back on for another session. So, you know, with the way a lot of these podcasts work, they work a couple of weeks out in terms of securing guests for the show on topics and things like that. So it might not be for a little while, but the feedback from the community has been absolutely incredible. Like I'm just looking and seeing all the comments that people have been leaving, saying like, "Yo, come back on the show, do this, that, and the third." I really loved it. So, you know, if y'all still want to keep seeing me on the show, just tweet at Ryan and we'll try to work something out later.
Yeah. I gotta be honest. You're definitely. It was definitely good to have you on, but I think you and I both can agree. I need to see Kid Smooth on there.
Oh, we have got to listen, y'all. We need the best bot.
That's what
deserves
I'm saying, bro.
His props. We need to see Kid Smooth. Kid Smooth has got to get out there. Like Kid Smooth, whatever y'all think, he's an icon in this gaming community with such masterful tracks such as Halo, Gears, and Forza. Like, yo, where else are you gonna get a banger like that? You know, Kid Smooth. Shout out to Jerry. You know what I'm saying? He gonna get his one of these days. Everybody does.
Yeah, for sure. Smooth definitely needs to be on there. I need to see how Smooth gonna be on there. That's what I want to see. But all right, cool. You know, that's what's up. So I know you said that you bought an Xbox. You know, you broke that forbidden rule, so to speak.
It took from the forbidden fruit.
Yeah, man. You bit the apple, right? So you bought the Xbox, right? And I know that, you know, a lot of what I was seeing, you know, with some of your tweets is, you know, you were using Game Pass to play a lot of your games. So, you know, I'm sure, you know, you pay attention to social media. You're on there. I'm sure you've been seeing a lot of the push that Microsoft is doing with Game Pass, but I'm sure you've also seen some of the community that has pushed back and spoke out against, you know, Game Pass being, you know, bad for gaming and things like that. So I kind of want to play around in that realm a little bit, right? Starting with, you know, since owning the Xbox, is it safe to say that you're enjoying it very much in terms of the Xbox? Are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying Game Pass? What's up with that?
Oh, definitely, yeah. So in terms of the Xbox as a console itself, the One X, because I can't speak for the One S and the original, it's phenomenal. It's fantastic. It's actually my favorite console to play games on because it gets me into the games faster. In my situation, it downloads games quicker, and it runs a lot of the games at the best settings for a console. And I mean, it actually does help a lot that compared to my PS4 Pro, it is whisper quiet.
That PS4 Pro taking off, man.
Yeah, straight up. Whether I'm playing Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Warzone is not a joke. It lets you know that it's playing a game. So, yeah, like I really do enjoy playing on the Xbox. I like what Microsoft is doing with the ecosystem in terms of, you know, putting their games on Xbox and PC. I don't necessarily think it diminishes the relevancy of Xbox. I think the problem and why Xbox has been diminished is not because their games are on PC. It's because they haven't put out the compelling experiences for people to want to go and buy an Xbox in general. You know what I'm saying? Because there are going to be a section of people who are going to play those games on PC no matter what, and that's fine. Microsoft still makes money from that. But there's a good amount of people who don't game on PC who would buy an Xbox if they had those compelling experiences, and they just don't. They have a lot of good stuff. They tick a lot of good boxes, but it's just not enough to really get people to go ahead and buy it. And it's like, yeah, like I'm satisfied with this purchase. But
yeah, I mean, to kind of go a little deeper into that, like, do you think that, so okay, so you say that because the game's on PC and Xbox, that it doesn't diminish the value. Do you think that exclusives as a whole are important to the industry and to the big three?
Absolutely, exclusives. Regardless of what people say, I know there's this narrative going around saying that exclusives don't matter. I mean, when you see all of the PlayStation exclusives consistently breaking records, the Nintendo games consistently breaking records, and it keeps on keeping on. And these games are a part of the conversation more so than, because it used to be different last generation. Last generation, it used to be like, yo, multi-platform games, regardless, they are king. Exclusives, yeah, they're great. But now we're seeing some of these exclusives outsell a lot of these multi-platform games. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you'll have your big titles like, the Fortnites and the Apexes and the Warzones. Of course, those would be the dominant part of the conversation. But when you're seeing games like Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima, Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, all of them consistently outselling some of these big AAA games, you can't ignore it. And that's what I hate when I see people saying it doesn't matter. So with Xbox's case, I don't necessarily think they need Xbox console exclusives. I just think that Xbox Game Studios needs to put out those big titles, because a great game is going to sell regardless of whether or not it's Xbox PC, PlayStation PC, Switch PC. You know what I'm saying?
So you think that so in terms of Nintendo and Sony, do you think that the exclusives that they put out, do you think it's important for those games to remain exclusive to that console to give it relevancy?
If we're talking long term, I'm not sure, because as we've all seen, Horizon Zero Dawn just came to PC, and I'm of two different thoughts. I feel like on the one hand, yeah, some people would be like, well, why would I buy a PS4 if it's on PC? You had 3.5 years to buy that game and play Horizon. So why is it going on PC? Why does that diminish the value of it on PS4? But then again, you got to look at it as Sony as a business. This is a whole new sector of the market that they can tap into. And that's just nothing but money for them. You know what I'm saying? Straight digital cash off of Steam. And I mean, we'll just have to see. Like, I doubt they're going to put all of their games on PC, but let's just say hypothetically they did. All those people are still going to game on PlayStation, still going to buy the games on PlayStation, just like they would if, let's say, Nintendo games came to PC. They would still buy it on Nintendo. You just have to give them an incentive to buy into the ecosystem, the platform, which unfortunately Microsoft they haven't been doing. They've been doing a lot of good things in terms of making sure that the console is in a better space than it was in the beginning, but they're just still missing out on like those really compelling experiences.
I mean, I hear you. I think, and this. I think this is where you and I I think our thinking towards that is a little bit different. Just because I think exclusives, when you put the thought in people's mind, and regardless of what console it is, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, I think when you put that thought that it can be bought other places, yeah, everyone won't migrate to the other place that it can be bought, but the thought is there, right? So because it's there, it's like, oh, well, you put Horizon Zero Dawn 1 on PC, why not 2? I can wait for 2. You get what I'm saying? Because do we really think that Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is not going to release on PC after releasing the first one? Like, why put the first one there and not put 2? You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I understand there's the idea of it coming. Oh yeah, no.
But see, that's the part that worries me as a gamer. That's the part that worries me, because it's like, being a console gamer for so many years and console getting its relevancy from, exclusive. When you think of PlayStation, what do you think of? Crash. You think of Uncharted. You think of Last of Us. You think of all these games that PlayStation has brought to you exclusively, mind you. But those are the things you think of. When you think of Switch, what do you think of? You think of Mario. You think of Zelda, things like that. When you think of Xbox, what do you think of? Halo, Gears, Forza, those things that were exclusive to that one console and are slowly seeping out. And I'm speaking in terms of the Xbox seeping out. I think those things that made the Xbox great, being able to play those things elsewhere, I think diminishes the value of the console, personally. But we would definitely be able to agree to disagree with that. But I hear what you're saying though. But so in terms of Game Pass, right? Now that you've been so quite deep into the ecosystem, do you see Game Pass as a proper alternative to how we play games? And if so, why?
I don't necessarily view it as a full stop alternative because basically Game Pass is like Netflix. It's just another way for you to consume content. One of the cool things about it is if you really do like that game on Game Pass, if you buy it, you get a discount on it. So it's a pretty good incentive. A lot of people say you don't own the games on Game Pass. Well, you don't. The same thing on Netflix. You don't own any of the shows that you watch there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how it is. But if you are subscribed to it, you can get those games at a really good discount. So it's cool. I like it. I don't take any of this stuff seriously. I know people like to make gaming as, oh, are we gonna fight for this and do that? I literally just play and I enjoy it. And people, they like to say, well, is Game Pass viable long term? I don't know, and I don't care. I'm just going to enjoy it as long as it lasts. Like a lot of things that have happened. I mean, for a lot of the old heads in the room, there were a lot of things and stuff that we had in consoles that they just didn't do anymore, and then we just accepted and we moved on. Like people were complaining and swearing up and down that paid online is anti-consumer and blah blah blah. And what did they do? They bought a PS4 and they bought PlayStation Plus. So it's just like people will complain about stuff and then literally they're going to buy into it, or they're just going to say, well, it's not as bad when this person does it. So Game Pass for me is cool. I mean, I just use it as a service to try out new stuff. There are a lot of games there that I was never really into, but the fact that it's on the service, I play them and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And I mean, it's nice. It's just nice to be able to play all those games wherever you want, whenever you want. It's cool.
Yeah, that's what's up. So what are your thoughts on the state of gaming in its present form? Right. So we're seeing a bit of a paradigm shift on how we consume, purchase, and view gaming. Do you view gaming in its present state as good, bad, or needs improvement?
I always have the same mindset that it needs improvement, like regardless of where we were, like whether it was last generation, this generation. I'm always of the idea that, hey, if there's work to be done, there's work to be done. There's still a lot of things nowadays that I think are kind of archaic that do need to come down. Like since we're talking about Xbox, for example, and paywalls, they still have an arbitrary paywall for free to play games when nobody else does. So that thing needs to come down. There was the whole big push about PlayStation not allowing true crossplay. I say true crossplay, not crossplay, because they do have a lot of crossplay games. I think they have the most. But true crossplay, that thing eventually came down.
What is true crossplay?
So true crossplay is essentially across all platforms entirely. So
before like Nintendo, Xbox, and all that other stuff.
Exactly. So there were a lot of games that were PlayStation PC crossplay, but those same games on Xbox and Nintendo and PC could all be played together. So things like that, people fought for it. It came down. So yeah, things like that always need to improve. The whole one of the things I know I always catch flack from people is I'm not a big fan of these games as a service titles, these ongoing platforms, because I feel like they have a limited shelf life of relevancy. And just the optics of like, hey, we're going to release this game. You buy into it. It might not be good now, but with the year 1, the year 2 update, it's going to get a lot better. And to me, it's just like, okay, well, what happens if this game fails within 6 months? All that money that I just dumped into it is just kind of gone.
Like Anthem.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I only use Anthem as the example because I love Destiny, right? And I'm loving Avengers beta. But I only use Anthem as the example because Anthem seriously failed out the gate and does put that really negative stigma on games as a service. But there are some games, and like I said, Destiny, Avengers, COD, if you want to put that as a games as a service to a degree, those are like the games I really float around. But I bought Anthem and I was really hyped for the game, and I was burned severely.
My condolences, man. Part of me, because I always see it on sale for $5, I want to buy into it, but I don't even know if the servers are still up. Like I thought they took it. Oh, they're still up. Okay, because I know they were trying to work on like what's it called, like a second wave or like Anthem Reborn or something, but I think it kind of got pushed back.
Yeah, they're supposed to be rebooting the game, redoing the game, and I'm just like,
That's insane.
that's a lot of wasted resources. I think just cut your losses and start working on the next project. I think is how we should.
You know what I
move
think
here.
it is? They all saw what happened with Final Fantasy 14. They're like, well, if they can do it, we can do that shit. I'm
See,
like,
but
bro.
Square are gods out here in the game industry. You feel me? Square moves a specific way, and because Final Fantasy 11 was trash. It was bad. They redid it, made it 14, and it's a hit.
Yeah,
But
14. The initial 14 was not good. It took a Realm Reborn and a lot of patchwork
yeah,
and all things to fix it. But that's again that I mean, yeah, at least in that case, that was that one off. But when we start seeing a lot like nowadays, for example, I see games that you buy into like Sea of Thieves, State of Decay, No Man's Sky, and then you have to wait for the year one update for it to become great. And it's just to me that's kind of like, well, why would I even buy this game on release? Like, what is the point? Like, what happens to just buying games and then them being like, feature complete, and then they add more stuff like it used to be? I feel like everything is in an eternal state of pre-alpha when it comes to these games for $60.
yeah. I think with the games as a service, I think with some developers, I think what they have to understand is that when you're putting out games as a service like this, there still needs to be substantial content there at launch in order to really keep people going. Luckily with Destiny, I'll use D1 for an example, because D1, a lot of people hated D1 for its story, and then when they got to the end game, they felt that it was too grindy. Me personally, coming from playing 1,000,001 JRPGs as a kid,
Oh yeah.
grinding, Pokemon levels and things like that stuff. I looked at that stuff as normal. Like I didn't really see an issue there. But I can see how someone that's probably a little more casual or whatever might not really enjoy that. But for me personally, I feel like Destiny had enough at launch where it kept me in, because I was really playing that game religiously. But then again, let's go back to games like Anthem, where Anthem, there really wasn't anything there. Like there was no multiplayer. There's no, there's the same like 5 or 6 missions, 2 or 3 strongholds, and like a 4-hour, 5-hour story. And I'm like, okay, this is not enough. Like you need more here. At least if there's multiplayer, there's something to keep people coming back. You get what I mean?
Could you imagine being that person who bought like the $120 edition of that game? Oh my god.
I almost did.
Oh, Persona,
almost,
man.
almost. I
Well,
caught myself.
what is this going on? First we be shilling for Destiny, and now Anthem. Is there we need to have an intervention, Persona? What's going on, bro?
I love my Destiny. I love my Destiny, man. That's
Nah, I
my
feel you.
game, man. I love it. But
I feel
okay,
you, bro.
I get it. I think so. Okay, so then let me ask you this question. Then with Halo, and seeing how Halo, they're trying to treat that as a games as a service. The way you're speaking on games as a service, I would assume that you see what Halo is trying to do, or what their thoughts are with that game, with Halo Infinite, and you don't want that. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
To an extent. Okay, so I have no problem with Halo being essentially an evolving platform, because that's basically what every single one of those popular games is nowadays. They are evolving platforms. The difference with Halo is that first off, Halo has the established pedigree. It's a legacy. It's an institution. That game doesn't need to just be good. That game needs to be amazing. It has to be firing on all cylinders. So just to see that game debut in the state that it did, it worried me. And the fact that they got a delay, good, because the way they were talking about some things, how we were only going to launch certain aspects of it in November, that scares me, because it just, like, I don't like to give too much into the rumors, because as we know, you got to take them with a big grain of salt. But when you start
So
hearing
much salt,
things
we're gonna have high blood pressure.
exactly, bro, straight up. Hit
Okay,
up
so
the doctor.
let me ask this question, and I'm being 100% when I ask this question, because I'm just genuinely curious. If Game Pass wasn't something that was at the forefront of what Microsoft is trying to push to its consumers and gamers, right? Do you think the thought of them even trying to push a staggered release like that would have even been put on the table?
Absolutely not. It would have blown up in their face. It would have, because the thing with, at least with some of these experiences that you see, is that if you have part of it that's available, and you can go and you can evolve on that, fine. But when you have a full-priced $60 game coming from an established franchise like Halo trying to do that, it's something we haven't seen before. Because we've seen games like Fortnite, Wars, and all the things they've launched, and they've launched because they're free. Halo is $60.
Well,
So how are you going?
Okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So with Halo, the only way I think they could potentially get away with that is if they, let's just say the campaign's not ready and they launch the multiplayer and they have all their modes and the multiplayer is free. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like not like $29.99 with Game Pass. We're talking like legit free. So that's the only way I think they could realistically get away with that. But just with everything we've been hearing behind the scenes, again, take it with a grain of salt. It's looking like there was a lot of clashing, a lot of back and forth going on with people. And I'm just going to be honest now. I think that Halo is not in the best of hands with 343.
Yes. Yes. I think everyone here and everyone in the world can agree there. Um, it's funny because it looks from what we're hearing, and again, it's tidbits, grain of salt, whatever. But it's looking like Halo Infinite, if it had it released at launch, and you never know, it might even still be in this situation. But I hate to call it this. This might actually be an Anthem 2.0 situation where it releases and like it's just nothing really there or nothing substantial that really makes it the Halo that we all. Because let's be real here, Halo is a flagship title for Xbox, right? Uh, you expect greatness, right? You expect perfection because it's a flagship, right? If you're going, for example, if you're going on a date with someone that you met and you really like this woman, right? You're gonna make sure you look your best when you go on the date because you want to look in a presentable way for this chick. Because you're like, yo, I'm trying to wife you up or whatever. You feel me? Like the first impressions are very important here, and
Yep.
I tell me if you agree, but I feel like because Halo is Halo, I feel like 343 and Microsoft may have gotten a little cocky with showing what they shown because they felt that it was Halo and people would dismiss its flaws. Would you agree or disagree with that statement?
I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't, because that's one thing you notice a lot in the gaming industry is there's this like level of smugness and we're great, we're awesome, like our shit smells the best. We saw it a lot last generation,
Mm-hmm.
like Sony comes out with a $600 console and tries to say anything that's wrong with it, it's the consumer's fault. Download speed's taking too long, go make a sandwich, things like that. But I definitely think, yeah, with the Xbox name, the pedigree attached to it, they thought that, yeah, well, if all these other people can do these things, stagger releases, then we can do it too. But the thing is, Microsoft, the messaging is so disjointed at times because they say that, okay, yeah, we have an uphill battle, we know we got to do these things, and yet they are surprised when they see a lot of people don't take too kindly to a lackluster showing. Like, here's the thing, Halo, like I keep mentioning this, Halo is an institution, right? This is a legendary franchise. I have to keep stressing this for some people. There should not be a divisive first look. It should literally be all tens across the board. Oh my God, wow, that looks incredible. That looks amazing. Like when God of War, the reboot, reimagining God of War for whatever it's called, when God of War was revealed. Like that literally took the industry by storm. And yes, there were some people who were questioning, oh, the combat is so different. But as a whole, everyone was just like, bro, what is this? Like when Breath of the Wild was unveiled, yo, look at this. Like that type of wow factor. And with Halo, you had that initial wow factor, like, wow, look, it's open world. And then it stopped right there when you got into gameplay. That's the problem.
Okay, so let me ask you this question then. In terms of next gen, right? Because we really started seeing way back when in December at the Game Awards where Phil Spencer, he announced the Xbox Series X, and then when we get into the new year, we're starting to get more information about PS5. We're starting to get more information about the Series X, right? So from your opinion and from where you're sitting and seeing how things are playing out, right? When you look at PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and how the rollout has been up to now, right, between both Microsoft and Sony, how confident do you feel going into next gen?
Well, I feel pretty confident considering I know I'm going to get both systems because realistically, I do like playing games on console. I have a PC that can game
Mm,
and like run circles around the consoles, but at the same time, I like having entertainment set up. I like having my consoles there for that reason, and
mm,
just leave it at that. So eventually, I am going to swap out my One X. I'm going to swap out my PS4 Pro. So for me, it's just like, yeah, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to play those games because I want to play those games. Um, I always said though, I'm going to wait on the Series X as opposed to the PlayStation 5, considering, I just bought the One X. And since there aren't going to be any crazy games that are going to make me like rush out to buy the Series X, I'll just get it probably at the end of 2021,
mm,
2022, when the One X stops getting a lot of support.
mm.
The PS5, I'm more inclined to get that one on release because I'm just waiting to trade in. I mean, it's sacrilegious to say, considering I have the limited edition Spider-Man PS4
Yeah,
Pro,
yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah.
love it. But realistically, I'm thinking, yo, the PS5 backwards compatibility. I can get this jet engine out of my house and still play my
Yeah,
PS4 games.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
if I can get a good amount of money, I'll definitely upgrade to the PS5 day one. But if I wasn't going to, I'd probably wait because I never buy any of these systems on release.
Mm,
Just
mm,
I'm not really subscribed to like the fear of missing out. I usually wait like 8 months or so, something like that.
mm.
Like I did with the PS4, I waited until Infamous Second Son dropped. So I mean, we'll see, but realistically, I think the only game I'd play on launch on the PS5 would be Miles Morales Spider-Man, and then I guess whatever multiplats take advantage of the hardware, I guess. But
Mm,
but for me, it's not like I'm in a rush to buy either of these systems right now.
mm.
2021, on the other hand, that is looking different because if all those games hit, like, oh, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah. So, what is, for you, what is the ideal price point for these next gen consoles?
Um, Optimistically,
Yeah.
like if I was just being as greedy and selfish as I am, I would say $400.
Mm,
Realistically, 500 to 550. I
550.
have a feeling. I have a feeling it's going to be around 500 to 550. If they go to 600, that's gonna be kind of dicey.
I know you've seen the rumor with the Series 6 being 600, so like, oh my god, let's hope not.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I have somebody in the chat asked a question. It says, Neo, what game saved gaming for you besides besides Persona 4?
Oh, that's how you know you got a long time viewer. Yeah. So for those who are wondering, Persona 4 legit kind of saved my love for JRPGs because there was that period last generation towards the end of the 2000s where JRPGs weren't on the high, they weren't on the level they used to be, because I grew up playing JRPGs on the Super Nintendo, PlayStation, things like that, and just like the PS3 era really wasn't that great for them. You had to legit go looking for the good ones because Square Enix wasn't putting out any great ones. It was
Yeah, it
companies
was
like
really bad on PS3. My
it
god.
was terrible. Like you
Yeah.
had some decent ones, but they were scattered so few and far between. So
Mm-hmm.
Persona 4 really saved my love for the genre and it got me looking to other games. But in terms of some other things that like I guess saved my love of gaming, I don't think anything is going to be as crazy as Persona 4 was
Now,
to me.
was Persona 4, did it save your love for JRPG games or just gaming in general?
Oh, JRPG,
Okay,
JRPG
okay.
gaming. JRPG gaming. So, I would say probably hmm, the first season of The Walking Dead. I know everybody talks about that, but that game struck so many chords with me. And I remember finishing it and I was just sitting there like I need to have another experience like this. And I kept searching for those type of games. So, something like that, like it struck the same type of emotional chord with me, but I don't think there's anything that's ever going to be on that level that really reinvigorated my love of gaming. There have been games that I've played that have made me like be like, yo, this is why I love gaming. I have so
Mm.
much fun. Like
But
I was playing.
it's a game that reassures why you love gaming, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay,
I
okay.
don't really think I have anything that's on that level. They're just games that I have that, like you said, reassured my love of gaming.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah. And then JP Loco, he asks us, what game is Neo most excited for on PS5 and Xbox Series X? I think he might have answered this already.
Um, so in terms of what they've shown off,
Mm,
I would have to say definitely Horizon 2. because I loved playing the first Horizon. I bought it again on PC. It's a great game. I can't wait to see what they do with the sequel. So I would say that. In addition, I mean, I don't know. See, that's the thing, because we really don't like hear too much like of all the crazy stuff at the beginning of the generation. It's usually like year 2, year 3. But right now, I'm gonna go with Horizon, followed by Ratchet and Clank, because I grew up playing Ratchet and Clank, and I love that they're still continuing this series. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. This is a question I've started asking like a lot of people that I interview, just because I'm curious to hear their answers, right? So when you hear a phrase like the future of gaming, what does that future look like to you? What comes to mind when you hear a phrase like that?
The same shit we've been doing since the 80s.
I think that's the best answer yet.
Yo, I always like I went on a weird binge a few years ago where I was just watching a lot of old school E3 press conferences, and they all say that future of gaming is going to revolutionize, change the way we game. And realistically, I'm still playing games the same way that I did 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Sure, the games look better. Sure, there's more social features and stuff like that, but it's the same thing. You go and just give me this controller, give me this console, and that's it. I don't
plant me in a world, they say go.
Yo, that's basically what it is. So when I see the future of gaming, I'm thinking like, what are y'all trying to do? We've got VR, but that ain't, people ain't talking about it like that. So
I get you.
I hear that and I tune it out.
That's the best one yet. I like that. The same shit we've been doing since the 80s. I like that. So last couple questions. So I kind of want to talk about the gaming community a little bit, right? I think when it comes to the gaming community, I mean, you're on social media. You see the different things that happen everywhere, right? So, one of the questions I want to ask is, what are changes within the gaming community that you think need to happen, if anything at all?
Well, I mean, on some level, we all have to get it out on the table. We have to define it that all this stuff is just for fun. All this is for entertainment. I think a lot of people just take this stuff a little too seriously. They take it to heart. I mean, it's one thing if we have fun, we disagree with each other, we make memes. That's okay. That's cool. We can all poke fun at each other, like, oh, Xbox ain't got no games, or, Nintendo does anything and the Switch people defend it, or blah, blah, blah. That's funny. I think it takes it a little too far when people legit start getting into each other's feelings about stuff. But that stuff, that's always been around, and it's not even just with gaming. You see that a lot in
sports.
Sports like crazy. Like, yo, you go into a bar and people legit get into fist fights over things like that.
The anime community.
Oh my God, let's not even get started on that. Jesus Christ.
The dub versus sub community. Oh boy.
Yeah,
they're literally like
that stuff. That stuff, I tune out a lot of those things, and I'm just like, I shoulder roll it, I keep it moving, I don't even entertain like that sort of shtick. So I'm not going to be here and say, oh, we all need to be kumbaya, guys. Like that's whatever. Y'all do you. But for me, I would say, in terms of really fostering a great community, we just got to support one another. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we really want to make a difference and make a change, we want to highlight all of these voices of the community, we got to practice what we preach. You know what I'm saying? So we got a good amount of people watching the show right now. Make sure y'all hit that like button, share it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, things like that. That's what I think we really need to start focusing on more, because it's so easy when we look at like other people in other communities and we're wondering, why are they booming? Why are they getting recognition, doing this, that, and the third? It's like, well, you look at your own community and they ain't supporting you, man. They're only there to comment, to disagree with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think we need to start supporting one another in that respect. And of course, we can always hold people to task on certain aspects, like, like just so they don't get too uppity. But maybe talking more about games and less about rumored hardware specs. You know what I call them? I call them spec ops. Yeah, right. Spec ops. Someone's got to Photoshop that game Spec Ops The Line with all these dudes. But
oh man, I call them spec ops, man, because it's like, look, man, why are we still talking about specs after everything that has transpired the past couple of weeks? Like, let's stop. It's time to stop.
I'm saying though, like, I want to hear about what games y'all are playing. Like, I think the most fun time I had recently was when I was on Twitter, and I just saw nothing but people playing Animal Crossing, like having so much fun. Like to me, that is just the purest stuff. And then as soon as that died down, I see all these things, teraflops, and RDNA 3 is actually 1.5. And
so I have to ask then, like, so like for myself, right? I have a preference. My preference is PlayStation, right? I prefer PlayStation. Do you have a preference, and what are your thoughts on people that do have a preference in this community with where they choose to play their games?
Well, I think everybody, just in general, everybody has preferences, and I don't think that's necessarily a problem. I think it's where your preferences start blinding you to certain types of realities when you start attacking other people. That's the problem. But again, that's a different conversation. But for me right now, my preference is I go where the games are and the games I want to play, and it doesn't matter what the hardware is. You know what I'm saying? So while I say I enjoy playing my games on the Xbox One X, that doesn't validate me playing, Xenoblade Chronicles on the Switch. I go where the games are, and that's where I have fun with it. So to me, I don't take it seriously, which is why. And I found it so funny because I remember one week I was posting like a screenshot from Xbox, and then next week I was posting like a ton of screenshots from PlayStation, and then I went back to Xbox and I was just like, oh, I'm glad you're posting more Xbox photos. I was just like, what the, So
Yeah.
So to me, it's not that big a deal.
Okay, fair enough, man. So the Almighty Spartan Guide, he has a question. He says, Neo, what is your preference when it comes to FPS versus resolution?
It's obviously got to be FPS. Like the frame rate to me is paramount to a lot of things in games, but I don't invalidate the resolution. Like just because something is 60 frames, that don't mean I want to play it at like 240p. Like what is this, a Nintendo Switch game? Come on now.
Okay.
Like, so for me, I think you need to strike a right balance. Which is why PC gaming is amazing because you make your own experience. So you could run games at 1440p, 60 frames per second plus, and things like that. Consoles, I am a little bit more lenient on certain aspects, obviously, because they're closed off machines that are like 7 years old. That's how much light you get out of them.
So then is your expectation going into next gen that everything needs to be at least 60 frames?
I would like for it to be at 60 frames, but looking at history, realistically, that ain't gonna happen,
Okay. I don't know if I asked this question or not, but in terms of other people that have a preference, you said that as long as it doesn't blind, you answered that question, right? People that have preferences, as long as it doesn't blind them, that doesn't matter. Got you. Okay. What games are you playing right now?
Right now, well, I'm going through a few games. So I'm working my way through The Last of Us Part 2. Okay. I actually waited a little while to play it because I wanted to let things die down before I chimed in talking about it, because I noticed whenever I mentioned something about The Last of Us, you get the hate squad coming in here. Let's talk about how Neil Druckmann straight up kicked sand into their lunch on the playground, like crazy stuff. So I'm going through that right now. I'm playing through that. That's what I'm primarily focusing on, but I'm also playing a couple different games on stream for some of the viewers. They've been requesting stuff. Fall Guys, surprisingly, I've gotten into. That game is so much freaking fun, bro.
That's fire. I love it.
It's great. It's just like my example of just a pure, wholesome gaming experience. And in addition to that, so I'm going through Last of Us. And then on my Xbox, I'm playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Nice. That's a good. Now, that's one of those games where, like, I know you're a big Star Wars fan, yeah. Yeah. So we're in the same boat because the way the game, Well, are you playing on PC or what are you playing it on?
So I have it on both PlayStation and Xbox because I bought it on PlayStation when it was on sale. Then I got my Xbox and it came with the Xbox, so I'm playing it on there because it runs a little better. But that performance,
man, you really gotta love. It's funny though because the game is really good. Like it is such a great game, and I platinumed it. I played it, beat it, platinum it. It's great, but that game in particular, I wish they would have put more time into optimizing this game because the loading. Some of the things in the world, it really takes away from the experience. But I love that game so much.
It's very good. I'm surprised at how much I'm really enjoying the game.
Yeah, especially since it took that Dark Soul-esque route with its combat. I really can appreciate that. Like it really is fun. I love it.
Definitely.
Last question, and then we'll get out of here. Dream announcement for next gen. What's a dream game announcement that you just I hope they do this. I want to see this happen. Give us like one or two.
Oh man. So my number one game that I need somebody out there to work on it. And I don't know why they haven't capitalized on it already. Dino Crisis. Like
I think
why?
there was leaks about that might be still coming from Capcom.
I've been hearing about leaks for years, and that shit right there has been hurting me, bro.
Yeah.
I see them do everything, but like, do you know how many times they've ported all these games and they haven't given us Dino Crisis? So Dino Crisis is at the top of my list of games I want to see. In addition to that, I wouldn't mind a new Power Stone game. I mean, I'm just spitballing stuff from.
You talking my language with that Power Stone?
Yeah, straight up. You know, I'm just spitballing. I wouldn't mind that. And if I had to think of a third game I'd love to see, honestly, I would not mind. I would not mind a new F-Zero. It's been way too long.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm with it.
Yeah.
F-Zero. Let's do it.
Straight up. You know what I'm saying? Like Nintendo gives us all these other mediocre side games from Mario. We can't get no F-Zero.
Well, I'm thinking. I see something today about they might be making Skyward Sword on the Switch.
Yeah. So there was an Amazon listing. I definitely would. I wonder what they're gonna do though, because the Joy-Cons aren't as they don't function the same as the Wiimote.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if they're gonna redo, because if they are gonna take out the motion controls completely and come up with an alternate play style, that's legit redoing the entire game. So
yeah.
I gotta wonder what'll happen.
I think that's everything for me, man. It's really great having you here today, man. Good conversation. Really positive guy, man. Like you very positive. I really can appreciate that about you, man. Really great to have you here, though, man. Thank you so much for coming through.
No, man, I want to say thank you, Persona. Thank you for having me on your show.
Yeah.
You know, like I watched the show. I watched all the guests you got on here. Yeah. Really good stuff. And of course, you know, talking about the community, we got to uplift one another. We got to, you know, keep each other strong. So, you know, we got to support the brothers. And, you know, Persona is a great guy. Once again, y'all, we got 55 people watching. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Support the homie Persona. Come on, man. Giving you this great entertainment.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, man. But let's get into the outros. Let the people know where they can find you at, man.
Of course. So my name is NeoGameSpark, and that's basically it. It's all one word. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube at youtube.com/NeoGameSpark, at NeoGameSpark on Twitter. And I also occasionally do live streams on Twitch. It's NGS, the streamer. So it's just the first initial of the three words in my name. And that's all I got today.
Yeah, man. So I put Neo's links in they're in the description, but also I put them in the chat as well. Definitely check out his YouTube channel and his Twitter. Really cool dude. Like I said, his Q&As are really cool, really fun. Yesterday they were talking about Toy Story.
I remember I saw you drop in.
Yeah, I see that Toy Story talk. I'm like, okay, let me stick around for this, because you guys are talking my language here. And I think Toy Story 1 is better than Toy Story 2, but that's a whole nother conversation. Oh, listen, we gotta
get you back on the show and talk about that.
But you know, he does his Q&As. They're daily, right? Every night you do them?
Not every night. So I do the Q&As weekly.
Okay.
Now I usually try to do them every single Monday. Depending on how the schedule works, they might be Tuesdays, but more often than not, I try to go once a week, and then sometime throughout the week I will stream maybe a game or two. It's just a little hard now because I'm back at work, so I'm just trying to adjust to the schedule of things. But yeah, I definitely try to crank out at least one or two streams.
You know, one thing too, I know you're real big into your fitness stuff. Definitely should start that fitness YouTube channel, bro.
Yo,
I should start that fitness YouTube channel, because definitely big into the fitness, man.
Yo, I started it like 2 years ago, and I don't know what happened, but I just never continued it.
Yeah,
and everybody keeps bringing it up now, like, hey.
You definitely should do that YouTube fitness for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like I said, man, thank you so much for coming through, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Very appreciated. To everybody in the chat, man, thank you so much for coming through. I really appreciate all of you being here. If you enjoyed this content, please, like, comment, subscribe, share the video out if you enjoyed it. Also, let me know if you guys are enjoying these interviews and stuff like that. You let me know in the comment section or whatever. I asked on Twitter a couple days ago who you guys wanted me to have on. There's a long list of people that you guys had said. I've reached out to a lot of them already. I've got some things in the works. Next Tuesday, I got J Main coming through. That's gonna be fun. Really excited.
It's gonna be kind of weird doing a podcast about gaming when J Man don't play no games.
I gotta make sure J Man hear this one.
Yo, he's never gonna live that down. I bring it up at least once a week. That's the homie though. Shout out to J Man.
Shout out to J Man, man. He's really, really cool, humble dude too, man. I'm really excited to have him on too. So yeah, J Main next week. I've got X Tim Dog. It's a couple people. Nice. So really excited. But thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you guys have a great night. Please be safe, and I will see you guys next time.